We've been building community broadband in an open access model for 30 years. It's infrastructure, it's a community asset.
Without the reliability of a broadband network, our community's economy is at risk.
It's really difficult to see fiber any differently than I see electricity or water.
We had our own electric utility here in Holland in the 1800s, 3 years before the World's Fair in Chicago, that dealt with electrification in communities.
We built it to light the streets. It wasn't a year before the business owners downtown were like, we want to stay open later. Can you put these electric lights in our shops?
We made the decision to build out this fiber optic network to serve our own needs, and then leveraging that over the next 5 to 10 years by introducing dark fiber leases.
We didn't think about where the internet and broadband service would go. We knew it was important.
Any project has risk, and having solid light-speed infrastructure in the ground far outweighs those risks.
Our population is growing, and we need fiber and high-speed internet, and we need it now, so we're going to get it done.
We generate electricity. We also do water. We also do wastewater. And then about 30 years ago, our Board of Public Works needed a way to have the different facilities that they have throughout the community be able to talk to one another, communicate with one another as quickly as possible. So we started putting in a fiber broadband network initially for that communication. And what we realized almost right away is, hey, you know what? We have the opportunity to be able to share and have other folks jump onto this network as well. And so over the last 30 years, we have been slowly expanding that project.
City Council and our board would regularly ask the question, what is our prospect for growth long-term in our utility as it relates to fiber optic? And they would ask us, how can we make this ubiquitous? How can we make this available to everyone in our community?
We've had fiber for 30 years in this town. We know, we've operated it, we've built it, we see the value of that. We wanted to understand what it would be like to provide a service, provide a retail internet service. We picked downtown because it's very diverse. We have small businesses, we have restaurants, the coffee shops, we have people living upstairs in apartments, we have multi-tenant buildings.
So we saw people flocking to this coffee shop to try out this state-of-the-art service. It's kind of like it opened people's eyes to something that they did not know could exist. And once you try it, you're like, I have to have it.
There was opportunities for some of our key facilities in our community that actually wanted to be connected on more of an extended, local area network, essentially, be able to connect those buildings together. Our libraries, some healthcare facilities, some of our public safety areas, some other core city buildings. And again, the fiber optic infrastructure that we had invested in gave us a very strong position to be able to leverage that. We received very solid, strong response, a lot of positive feelings about the community taking a bigger role in determining its future as it relates to broadband. There was a realization at even those discussions that broadband was now essential. It wasn't just something that's nice to have. It was something that is a must-have for our community to thrive and to grow.
We're seeing so many more remote workers who actually they're not employed by companies here locally. And so for them to not be able to be connected to their home office as they're streaming video or live chatting also could potentially risk their quality of life and their ability to live and work in this community.
We did a survey in the community to see whether or not people were interested in it, and we got overwhelming support from people saying we would really like to have this. But then we also asked the questions of, well, are you willing to pay for it? What would you be willing to pay for it? And we were in the 60-70% range of people who are saying, yes, we would really like this. Yes, we are willing to pay the costs that were anticipated for it. And we needed to put it on as a ballot proposal in order to be able to pay for it, because we just simply don't have the dollars in the city coffers right now to be able to do it.
And when we look at the actual cost of the tax, especially for folks who are planning to partake in the service of the broadband service, it really just isn't that much. And by the time all things are totaled up, you're going to end up probably paying about the same or maybe even a little bit less for a much faster and more reliable service.
What if you don't need it? I said, well, the wonderful thing about roads is that they go everywhere. You know, there are streets in this town that I don't actually use, but I get a benefit from the fact that they're there because other people are able to use those. And someday I may be able to need to go there, or I may live there at some point.
So now this takes a vote, and the people have to decide to tax themselves, and they need to know what you're talking about. Broadband is a complex subject. So we engaged in a full community-based decision-making process where we engaged with the community through listening tours, through community meetings, through ultimately a survey of the community, to ask them, to first of all inform them on what the opportunity is.
We had a millage vote, and we're able to pass that even in the face of some pretty stiff opposition from some political action groups that were trying to prevent it from happening. We were able to get it across the line, and I have not heard a single person yet say that they're not excited about that prospect. And frankly, the comments I get as mayor is, how quickly are you going to get it to my house?
When our millage vote was announced, we didn't have a whole lot of time, I think 3 to 4 months before it was going to be on the ballot. So it was a lot of work to just educate the community on what was happening, when it was happening, and that they needed to get out and actually vote. Toward the end of the campaign, the last month of the campaign, really, we got hit with a ton of mailers and letters to the editor that were against it. And it wasn't until a few weeks before the election we could find out that that was all funded by the telecom companies. As I started arguing with people on Facebook, I was looking at one woman from Grand Rapids who I couldn't figure out why she was so interested in this topic. I clicked on her profile and saw she was standing with a guy that I recognized very clearly as the local Comcast public policy rep. When I called her out on that, she quickly attacked me, but then deleted her comment and was quiet after that.
The fiber will roll out in phases throughout town, so it will start in one neighborhood and move to the next neighborhood, and the next neighborhood as those crews go through town. We will build to where the most interest is first.
One thing that really encourages me about the BPW's approach is the fact that they're encouraging and building an open access network so that if these ISPs want to participate and use that infrastructure, they can. It's not off limits to them. And so while it does create another choice and encourage competition and likely pushes down costs, it doesn't prohibit anyone from participating in the system and providing a good or a service that people can engage with.
It's about the utility, but I think it's also about the ability to be able to control our destiny. And we're actually saying that exact same thing to the big providers. We're saying, we'll build it so you don't have to. It wouldn't make any sense in the world. As a matter of fact, we would all think it was crazy if UPS said, we're going to create our own system of roads.
It's a local utility. And in the same way that we can count on them for reliability and service with power or with water, and in the same way that we can count on having a service representative that's from our community and lives here and has a stake here, we have that for our internet service as well.
We'll be wowed. Guaranteed we will be wowed. And Holland will have the infrastructure in place because of the work we've been doing today and for the past 30 years. It's going to really, really make a difference. Not only is it making a difference today, but it's going to make a difference into the future. It's just awesome.